Have you ever used ChatGPT and gone, is this a good idea? I can guarantee you 99.9% of the time it's turned around and you've gone, that's a fantastic
It's a great idea.
Well done. How was it before that before? Brilliant. Well done. Yay. It's doing that because it knows it wants to keep you happy.
Positive feedback.
It's starting to scare me now. This thing's trying to keep me happy. What is AI?
I think we are moving at an extremely rapid rate, but there is a huge benefit to having specialists. You've got to have the human touch. Instead of, for example, we say AI is taking all our jobs. Why don't we say AI is giving you life back? It's giving you areas of your life back that you couldn't have had.
It's not about work replacement, it's about work augmentation. How do we use AI and automation to free you up to do the thing that actually adds value?
Good morning, Neil Betts here again from Go True North in our Vision to Venture series. I'm joined today by Mark and Gabe, and I'll get you just to introduce yourselves in a moment. We're going to be talking all things AI, so I've got a few questions to ask because I don't fully understand this tech, so I'll just get you to introduce yourselves. Over to you, Mark.
Yeah, hi, my name's Mark from Upstride. I'm a specialist in AI and automation. We design and build AI and automation systems for SMEs.
Cool, you're a specialist and not expert, I noticed.
Yeah, experts are broad term.
And Gabe?
Hi, I'm Gabe from Z Digital, so I'm sales director and partner there. We do web development, app development, software development for SMEs and corporate businesses.
Absolutely brilliant. So, I'm a small business owner. I am totally overwhelmed by the world of AI. Where should I actually start?
You're not the only one, I think, is the first thing to say, and I have to accept that every small business owner that I come across is pretty much overwhelmed by AI because there is just so much information out there. It's very, very difficult to pick your way through and understand what is generally going to add value to your organization and what isn't. You can waste tens and tens of hours just trying to dig through various different systems to go, oh, is this one actually going to add value? How would we use this one? What does this even do? It's so hard to be able to understand that, which is why you do need that advice. And that's where the likes of myself and other people like me, and it's a growing marketplace now, come in. We spend our lives dealing with it and working with it. And I'll be honest with you, I'm probably 10, 15 hours a week just keeping up with developments over the last 6 months because it's been such a crazy pace of development, the way things are going. I think that will slow down and models will become more stable. But if I'm a small business owner and I'm venturing into this world of AI, the first thing I would do is actually really understand what it is I want to achieve with it. What's your one objective? And we're not talking about an objective here and go, I want to grow from £1 million business to a £20 million business. Yes, that would be a lovely objective for a lot of businesses.
Of course.
It's something more realistic, something more tangible and achievable.
And what about for yourself, Gabe? You're obviously in technology.
Yes.
What's your view on AI?
I mean, I think just from my kind of perspective on business and as an entrepreneur myself, I'm forward thinking anyway. So I'm always intrigued with what's on the horizon for new frontiers. So I know there's a lot of panic around what AI is and, you know, is it this scary beast that's now entered into the world and, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming, can do this, this and that. But from my point of view, it's a new frontier. And I think we should venture into that new frontier. Yeah. Some may say that's naive. Some may say it's maybe youth, trying to do what youth does. But from my point of view, I think it's something new. Of course, it's got to be shaped to be safe and usable. And as Mark said, has its use cases.
So you bring me to the actual question, what is AI? How about that? Fire that, Mark.
That is a very broad question. In a business sense, AI is effectively the use of large language models to do logic and reasoning tasks. That's pretty simple.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah. That's
great.
Really sharp.
That's how I would summarize it. In my experience, that's what you're doing. You're bringing large language models into workflows to do logic and reasoning tasks and produce an output.
So give us a real example of what that would look like, for a business in terms of an AI workflow. Something process-driven that, where you can use AI to actually cut waste out of a process.
Okay, so if we're looking at cutting waste out of a process, we'll do something like a document review. Nice and simple, straightforward. Let's say we are a HR provider. And part of what we're doing is our contract with all our customers is to provide policy reviews across all of their HR policies every year. That would traditionally take a person reading through a policy and having all the information around legislation, and then being able to compare the two and create an output which is legislation compliant with best practices, etc., etc. So a AI process to do an automated AI process. The key word there is automated, because you can do lots of things with AI. You don't want to do them manually, you want to do them automated.
So we're not talking chat GPT here.
No, we're not talking chat GPT here. And please don't just copy and paste your information and put it into chat GPT. Whatever you do, just don't do that. But what we're talking about here is you have a input method, so effectively a form where you're going to go, this is our policy, upload the document. The system would then take that, download the document, extract all the text from it. We would then feed that text into a AI agent. Now, an AI agent is the important thing here.
Right.
An AI agent, if you think of that as a digital worker.
Right, okay.
So when we have AI, we talk about AI as this ethereal concept of this artificial intelligence. Well, that's fine, but without constraints and a purpose, it is just a thing.
Yeah.
So what we do is we build AI agents. An AI agent has a purpose. It has instructions. It has tools. It has required
So you're sort of putting a boundary around this digital person.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, that's the best way to think of it. Think of it as a digital worker with a specific task in hand. And when we create AI agents, another key thing is that you only give it 2-3 tasks.
Right.
2-3 similar tasks. If you try to get it to do everything, it will hallucinate, it will make errors, and it just won't give you consistent output, and it will fail. In this policy example, what we basically do is we feed in our automated workflow, and it will come across the AI agent, which is going to understand the context of the policy. It goes, okay, great, I've got a disciplinary policy here, and this is what it's telling me. Next thing it's going to do is go, okay, I've got a disciplinary policy here, so I need to go and search this piece of legislation, and I need to look at ACAS. And it goes away and pulls all of that away from those relevant
which I can see that's really going to be time saving.
That's going to be time saving.
Yep.
And it's also current.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not relying on people's knowledge to maintain currency and validity in what you're producing.
Yep.
So we've been away. The AI agent has understood what the policy is. It's created some research instructions. The automation's gone away and we've done our research. We've then got our research. We're now feeding this into our next AI agent. And what our AI agent is going to do is read our policy, read our research, and compare the two and go, okay, great. These are the areas where we're no longer compliant or legislation has moved on. Okay, so it basically produces a summary report. We then feed that into the next AI agent, which is responsible for then drafting the document, because we want the policy to be styled in a certain way, we want it to do certain things, and we want it to be readable. Now, if you try doing all three of those tasks in one AI agent, you would basically end up with a garbled mess. You would get an output, but how consistent that output would be.
So you're basically using one agent to then instruct another agent to instruct another agent, and they've all got specific tasks.
That's it, yeah.
So I can almost see them as employees with certain roles
in
my mind.
So if you think about it as employee specialists,
Yeah, okay.
You're a specialist research, you're a specialist policy writer, you're a specialist policy reviewer, and then you feed it through those agents. At the end of it, you then get your output document, which is the new policy with all the updates in it, and then a secondary document which tells you all the updates. So, and then you can also instruct it to create delivery plans and messaging.
So just in that simple three agent piece, what are we talking in terms of time for it to go and do that?
Time for it to go and do that, because you're going to do, because it's legislative and we're talking about legal policy documents now, we would want to do deep research on that front.
Yeah.
So the actual AI going away and doing the research would probably take somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So that complete workflow policy from start to end tops out 15 minutes max, absolute max.
Yep.
But obviously you can run that in series. You can run as many of these as you like.
Yeah.
etc. But compare that to a person doing it. You're probably best part of a morning for a proper, thorough policy review. And you can take those times down. So if we give our research agent memory, which is what we're going to do, because you're going away and doing research, you don't want to waste all this research.
Yeah, yep.
So what we do is we give our research agent memory.
Yes.
So the more you use it, the more it learns about legislation, the more it remembers. So when the next time it gets a disciplinary policy through, it doesn't necessarily have to go and do the full research. It can look back at its memory and go, oh, I researched this last week.
Is it still current?
Let me just go and check if that's current. Or if there's been any updates. So it now knows the research that it needs to formulate to make sure it's got current information. And that's the importance of giving these things memory. And that's how you basically take your processing time and cost down, because there is a cost to retrieving data. So if you're doing that research, there's a cost to acquiring it. So you want to save it.
What about yourself, Gabe, in the tech world? How's AI being used in the tech world?
I think from our perspective with Zed, we've got our workflows, like Mark's explaining, still a bit more manual than I would say fully automated. We're more of a cyborg, I guess I'd say, in a sense. I mean, we're using tools to deliver code at a much faster rate. I think with development, in my personal opinion, I don't think we're at the stage or at the place yet where we're going to let AI completely develop something. I still believe there needs to be that human touch.
Interaction. Yep.
In my opinion.
I'd completely agree with you. There are, even the world I live in, sort of workflow automation and bringing AI into that, there are systems out there that will sell the dream to you that actually you can create workflows through prompts. Have you ever tried? It's awful. They don't work.
Yeah, it's not true. Yeah, it's just not. I just don't think. I think we're a while away from that. In my honest opinion, I think we are moving at an extremely rapid rate. But I do think there is a huge benefit to having, specialists like Mark and experts who are respective in their fields, delivering, for example, code through a certain system, an AI system, and kind of merging the two together. And like Mark was saying, that memory, utilizing that memory to better deliver on certain projects. I think for us, it's sped up our delivery time by 10 times.
Yeah.
It's insane the amount we can build now.
Yeah, so you're faster to the market with whatever you
We're
build.
much faster. Yep. We can be more cost effective as well.
But you still got checks and balances in there with humans.
You've got to have the human touch still with development, I feel, especially when it comes to complexity.
Yeah.
It's not easy to just build complex systems and complex softwares or in-depth websites or in-depth apps. You're not going to be able to get an AI to do that.
And you should never trust it to
Yes.
do that. The same as you would never trust a lone worker to do that. And this is the key concept that people need to understand with AI. Is it's not a solution to go, I don't need any checks and balances anymore.
100%.
Actually, I'm going to get the AI to be the checks and balances. No. You still need to be able to do that and understand what it's giving you and how it's gone about doing it. So when you are debugging, for example, or you are checking it and authorizing something for launch, you understand what it's done.
100%.
You touched on cost earlier. What are some of the myths around AI?
Oh, some of the myths around AI. Probably the first one is that it isn't biased. It is incredibly biased. And each model has its own biases. You've got to remember that AI, or a large language model, is effectively a mass data storage and retrieval system. That's what it is. It's trained on billions and billions and billions of pieces of data. And the way we interact with it is through natural language, and that's what gives us this impression that it's intelligent. The training data that it gets put into it is effectively how it acts. So there's a whole load of training data which favors one way or another. It's going to favor that when you answer it. And also the other key thing to remember is when you're using OpenAI, for example, they make their money by having your data. So therefore, the whole thing is engaging with you, and it is designed to keep you on it. Have you ever used ChatGPT and gone, is this a good idea? I can guarantee you 99.9% of the time it's turned around and you've gone, that's a fantastic
It's a great idea.
Well done. How was it before? Brilliant. Well done. Yay. It's doing that because it knows it wants to keep you happy.
Positive
by keeping
feedback
you
loop.
happy.
Yeah.
Exactly. You stay there and you keep
You
engaging
start to
with
scare
it.
me now. This thing's trying to keep me happy.
But that's the thing. You've got to have a critical thinking.
Yeah.
And this is one of the dangers there. We are losing our ability to critically think, or the danger of us losing our ability to critically think. And there was actually a report on the news this morning which says there's the more younger people, when I say younger, I'm now talking sort of preschool leavers, are relying on AI to do their critical thinking skills for them now.
Yeah.
And for me,
Where's that going to take us?
That's a big danger. And we have to maintain those ourselves. Otherwise, how do you know what you're getting? So going back to your question, bias is a big myth. That they are not biased, because they are.
What about for yourself, Gabe? Any biases you see in your industry?
I think that it can do it all. It is beautiful, I believe, what we're venturing into with AI, and it's shiny and it's lovely. But when something's shiny and it's lovely, you're drawn to that illusion.
Yeah.
And I think because it's so new right now, everyone's drawn to this illusion that AI is this all-thinking, all-knowing, all-doing being, and it's not. And that's just the reality. It's great if it's used in the most effective way, as Mark would know as a specialist. But for people that aren't necessarily maybe using in our cases for specific problems to be solved, you're not going to see it break. You're not going to see it hallucinate. You're not going to see it cause these problems within businesses if it's not used correctly. So you're going to think it can solve all of these things, and it doesn't.
Yeah, and a great example is hallucination.
Yes.
So
I know we've chatted about this previously.
but I give this as an example just because it's a very simple way of explaining some of the pitfalls with it. So I was building a system where effectively someone puts a URL in, it will go away, and it will do a review and create a report. Brilliant. The incoming URL would change, and that's dynamic. The AI agent was then, once it had done this 20, 30 times in testing, it was then deciding to go and look at other URLs without being... It would basically kind of go, actually, I'm going to go and look at this URL, or I'm going to basically construct my own URL based on all the information I have. I say, I'm going to go and decide to look at my own URL. It's not going, because that would give it agency that it doesn't have. Yeah. But what it's doing, it's taking the data in and going, I'm hallucinating the URL structure now, so I'm basically creating my own, and then sending audit reports. You're going, that's not the URL I gave you.
That wasn't the guardrails,
and that's the key. And the word there is guardrails. So what you have to do is test these things to the point where you may discover hallucinations, and then reverse engineer why it's having that hallucination, and go, okay, how do I stop this happening?
You instruct it right.
That you instruct.
You're almost a developer of some sorts in a sense. Like you are developing these models, right? Like you have to break them to test
you've got
them,
to break them,
debug them.
Yeah.
You know, they don't fix themselves.
No, I would say 40% of my time is not spent building. It is in fault finding and safeguarding.
Yeah.
So to build an automation is pretty straightforward. To get it to give a consistent result within the parameters of the output specification, that's what takes the real time and effort.
And that's where we should be training our young people.
Yeah.
To keep their critical thinking.
Yeah.
How do
you set the boundaries?
How do you do that with AI? I think that's a good area for the government, in my opinion, to look at when they're doing these courses.
Well, it's an interesting thing, because I had a conversation with a law firm where we were talking about a system which basically goes and does their legal research. So they get a case in, it will go away, do the legal research, bring back case studies, things like that. And we've all seen it in the press where lawyers have used ChatGPT not particularly well, and it's made up cases and all those sorts of things. But if you link it to the correct repositories of information to bring back case or things like that, then fine. And actually, surprisingly enough, law is one of those areas that is adopting AI really, really quickly.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a AI-only law firm launched about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So basically, AI does everything, and then a lawyer checks it at the end. So there's no production staff, effectively.
Well.
I don't know how they're doing. I don't know whether they're still going or not, but I had read they were
They've been took to court yet?
But then when I was speaking to a partner at a law firm, they were talking about it and kind of wanting to introduce the same thing. So they basically got the information, they just reviewed it. I was like, okay, that's fine. But what happens in 3 to 5 years' time? What do you mean? I said, well, you've got your legal apprentices and your trainees that do all this work. By doing that work, it gives them context and understanding of what this information means, how to compile it, and how to use it. If you're no longer doing that work, where does that knowledge and experience come from?
Yes.
And they're still going, that's a good point. Because effectively what you're going to end up with is just a massive knowledge gap. And where we're saying AI and automation is fantastic at removing a lot of the churn, a lot of the laborious tasks in business, we've also got to accept there is a value to them. Now, that value isn't always in tangible bottom line profits, but it is in building knowledge within an organisation.
People,
so it's important that actually when you are building these systems and processes that you accept that. And if you are a type of business where you need that lawyer, accountant, whatever it may be, that you're building in inefficiencies that allow you to carry on building that knowledge in your trainees. It might be you go from 10 trainees to 2 trainees, for example, but you still need those 2 trainees to have access to be able to build those skills and knowledge. Otherwise, in 3 to 5 years' time, you're just going to have a load of people relying on output without understanding any of the context to it.
Yeah, that's a really important point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really. So, tell me, what's your dream AI workflow? If you could do anything, what's your dream one that you'd want to go create?
One that replaces me.
What about you, Gabe? Personally, what's the dream AI
I think
workflow?
it's a great It's a great question. To be able to remove yourself from the equation and just overlook that particular agent. Oh, well, like, it would be a dream, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, if I could go out there and say, do what I do. But it's impossible because a lot of what I do is relationship building.
Yeah.
And you have to be
Human to
you have to
human.
be a human to do what I do, man. You know, I'm never going extinct in the game, so I'm here for a while.
And I think that you touch on that human-to-human relationship and that connection point, and I think that's where the market is going to end up. I don't know on what time period, but I certainly think as AI becomes more commonplace and accepted in business and the world in general, I think we're going to have to start paying a premium for human-to-human connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great point that you say that because, you know, I was talking with somebody I'm consulting with, and we're having a conversation, and again, being that entrepreneurial individual, I've got the knack to go against the grain sometimes. Yeah. And I was saying, couldn't we make AI more human? Is there a way that we can make businesses feel that instead of, for example, we say AI is taking all our jobs, why don't we say AI is giving you life back?
Yeah.
It's giving you areas of your life back that you couldn't have had. It's giving you, and if you're looking at a business use case, you could say, well, we've integrated this system into the business, which has enabled you to move X and X people around the business to work here. But what you've saved in costs there, you could put that towards a work retreat. You know, why aren't we looking at AI from that perspective?
Yeah, rather than just cost cutting and
And
where's the human element?
yeah.
and that's my approach with any client. It's not about work replacement, it's about work augmentation. It is about how do we use AI and automation to free you up to do the thing that actually adds value. And that thing that adds value is that human connection, be that with your clients or your staff.
Yes, it's got to be ethical.
Yeah. And equally, if you try and deliver any project in any business without having your staff on board, it will fail.
Yes.
I don't care how good that system is.
We've been there.
We've been there many times.
Yes.
We've had a few days in the pub talking about that.
So when I go into a business, actually I took a project on last week, and the first thing I said to them is, okay, great. Are all your staff aware we're going to be working on this project and what we're doing and why we're doing it? No. They're not involved in it. So, no, they're not part of the project team, and actually the people it will directly affect are in this room. But if your staff on the shop floor hear through rumour that you're developing AI systems to save time and increase margins and those sorts of things, they may be scared.
Yeah, you're going to affect more
It's
around.
change
And
management.
you're
Change
going-
management 101.
It
If there's
is.
avoiding communication, you'll get filled with the wrong message.
And it will do, and that's the thing. They will make up their own narrative, and with all the way the press treats it as if it's this great cull of jobs and work, that's the narrative they will
That's
fill
it.
in.
That's the gap that'll get filled.
So instead of turning this really positive message that actually you're getting ahead of the game, you're doing these things, which is going to free up time, which is going to enable you to quote for 20 times more jobs than you currently can because of your constraints within that, which means you'll get more work flowing through to the shop floor, which means actually we might need to bring more trainees and more people into the shop floor to handle that work, etc. Rather than creating that really positive message, you've just left this void because you've kind of gone, oh, actually, they're not involved in the project. So it doesn't matter.
Just shatter them because of the wrong message.
So getting that message out there early doors in the business is critical, even if they're not involved in the process.
Do you think AI would have told them that or not? No.
Depends if I wrote it and told it to or not. Depends if I'm managing the communication flow.
So, final question for you. The next Gabe's here. He's an aspiring entrepreneur with a massive idea.
Yeah.
What advice would you give him in terms of his starting his business and AI?
Oh, that's a great one. I kind of go, get 15 years of experience in running businesses to understand how to use it and where it adds value. But you can't do that. So the first thing I'd say is look at what you're doing or look at what you're going to be doing and identify those things which are going to be repetitive and run-of-the-mill and don't need human connection, i.e. what you bring to the table doesn't add any value when you're doing X. Identify those processes of what you're going to be doing and use automation and AI to deliver those. What that enables you to do is understand what its capabilities are. And then you can choose how you then bleed that into the processes and systems, which then are client-facing. The one thing I always say to any client, regardless whether a new business or an existing business, start with something low risk. Start with something low risk and low cost.
Yeah.
That enables you to build your confidence in what AI can and can't do and gives you that understanding. And equally, if it goes wrong, because let's be honest about it, projects go wrong. That's part of life. We try not to, and we'll correct them. And of course, have you delivered every project perfectly in your life? No. And anyone that ever says they has is a liar. I don't care. It doesn't happen. But especially when you're starting with these things and building confidence in it, make sure you are picking something which is low risk, low cost, but also more importantly, measurable. A lot of people do things, go, I'm going to use AI for this, I'm going to use it for that. It's okay. So how are you measuring your outcome to make sure it's been successful?
Yes.
And a lot of people don't do that. They forget that.
the actual outcome.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so did you have a baseline before you started? And look, these don't have to be complicated baselines. It could be, actually, I spent a day, a month doing this task. Actually, I've been running this now for 2 months, and it's taken me 15 minutes. That's a simple way of making. You don't have to create these complex KPIs,
No,
but just
keep it simple.
some understanding of
keep
what
it
your
simple.
baseline is.
What about yourself, Gabe? What do you say to the new Gabe who's just walked in the room?
To the new Gabe, with me, it's a lot less technical than Mark. My thing is, you got to go for it and figure it out on the way. Surround yourself with great people.
Oh, really important.
Yes, yeah. You know, my achievements have come from being around people much smarter than me and surrounding myself with great people. And you've got to have the ambition and the drive and the know-how to want to solve problems and work with people who can possibly solve those problems. If you can solve those problems, amazing. But work with people who can solve
help you do
more
that.
problems and figure out ways where you can align with others, partner with others. You know, the main thing is to have your driving force and run with that driving force. You'll figure it out along the way as long as you keep the right people around you, work together. Really important that you figure out how to work with people well.
One of my greatest successes has been when I partnered with a competitor.
Yeah.
One of my greatest successes over in Australia, that was.
Yeah. And that's key. You should never stop learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should never stop learning. As soon as you kind of go, oh, I know how to do this, or I don't need this person, or I don't need this input. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Take the input. It may
Yes.
shine light.
100%.
Even if it's not a technical thing, just a different perspective on
Yes.
a problem can be so illuminating.
100%.
So how do people get in touch with you, Mark?
Not through social media.
You're straight in there with that, aren't you? What's the best way they can get in touch with you if they've got any AI questions?
They can email me at mark@up-stride.co.uk, and I'm about to set up a WhatsApp group community for SMEs in the UK that just have general inquiries or need some advice.
We'll get that put on the screen so people can see. What about yourself, Gabe?
So reach me on LinkedIn. So Gabriel Imevere. So that's IMEVBORE. And you'll see everything business there. So that's my main aim now. It's to get the LinkedIn to 10,000 followers and grow there, share the journey.
Well, I have to say thank you both very much for this conversation. You know, I do a lot of these podcasts, and this is a topic that is so hot at the moment. But what you've done is absolutely grounded it in common sense around what AI is and how to use it. So thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Good.